What's up guys, welcome to the Momentum Trading Lab. I'm your host Renier. If you haven't already, please consider hitting that like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Alright guys, so let's look at the Nasdaq, and as per usual I'm going to start with the daily chart. So as we also mentioned yesterday, we finally have the stochastics RSI and the Williams oversold at the same time. And if we go back and look at the past, the last time we had this condition, we had this nice run up to the upside. So let's have a closer look at the candlesticks. And first of all, what I normally do is I mark off the previous day low and the previous day high. So let's quickly do that. Just gonna make this white. Okay, so this is our sell side liquidity. So all of the sell stops will reside below this low, and as you'll notice that the daily chart worked its way down all the way to this low. So it basically kicked out all of the remaining stop losses for the people that went long, and now it looks like it's ready to reverse to the upside. We have some liquidity levels and a volume imbalance right there. So it seems like the draw of liquidity is towards these highs, and we'll have a closer look at the lower time frames for the exact levels. But it looks like the draw of liquidity is towards this, potentially towards this volume imbalance that we have right there. Let's mark that off. So this is our daily volume imbalance. Alright, so this is the sell side liquidity for the previous day low. And then we're just going to copy this line, put it right there. So we already took out the previous day high. This is our buy side liquidity. So people that went short yesterday and today, so the guys that had open positions during the night, they are possibly knocked out right now with this little move to the upside above the buy side liquidity and the previous day high from yesterday. Okay, so let's have a closer look at the 4-hour. And so this is also one of the reasons I think price action is overall gonna head back to the upside, is that we had this low right here. Just gonna use this one. Sorry, let me actually use a trend line for this. Okay, so we had this low, and then price action came down and it knocked out all of the sell stops below this low, and then we got a strong reaction to the upside. So we had displacement above this previous high that we had right here. So that's displacement with a market structure shift. So this is an indication of bullish order flow. So to me it looks like price action is going to work its way up, take out all of the liquidity, the internal liquidity above these highs, and then go and close that volume imbalance on the daily chart. So this is our fair value gap on the 4-hour. And let's also get a fib on this. It looks like it bounced from a fib level. So have a look right there. It came right to the 706, which is basically the optimal trade entry level. So some people use the 705. I learned the 706 from one of my mentors in the past, so I just basically stuck. I just kept on using that level. Let's move that to the side. All right, let's have a quick look at the momentum master B. Oversold. We basically had all of the oscillators oversold with the money flow above the RSI, which is also a bearish indication, so we got that little retrace. The stochastics RSI is still kind of moving down, but it is showing weak downward momentum, so there's a possibility that this will just flip back to the upside before going all the way back to the oversold area right here. That's what it's looking to me right now. Quickly close this. Alright, so previous day high that got knocked out, so all the people that went short, they are knocked out. So I'm gonna just remove this line, or I'm just gonna reuse it for the new liquidity that will reside above this high. I'm just gonna remove this previous day high. Right, so this is where the buy side liquidity is right now, and it will also be obviously above these highs right here. We also have these relative equal highs. So above these highs, this is where we are assuming that buy side liquidity will reside, and we are assuming that the because of the liquidity grab that happened on the daily chart, so we are assuming that the larger players bought up all of these stop losses, and now they are gonna go and attack the opposing liquidity pools above these highs. So that is the thinking. Let's go to the 1 hour. Okay, so just gonna quickly go back to the 4 hour. I just want to set the visibility, so this is only on the 4 hour, the current interval only. Alright, so here we can also see we had this low, then price action came into this area, knocked out the stops, then we got strong displacement to the upside. We also had that market structure shift right here. So that was our shift in market structure. Make that white. And we know this is a bullish indication as well, because this move to the upside, it created this fair value gap, so that's an indication of bullish order flow. Came back, created a higher low, and then we continued to the upside. Then we created another fair value gap right here, knocked into it, and then they basically took out the buy side above this high, and then price action reversed. Printed another fair value gap right here. Came right into it and then moved back to the downside. Okay, so this is a quick little review of the price action since yesterday's stream. Also just want to get a flip on this. This also looks like it bounced on a key level. Also came right into the OTE area, and then got a nice little reaction to the upside. Okay, so the next levels I'm watching. Okay, so we have to mark off this level. So we can assume there's going to be sell stops below this level. Make that white. Okay, so we have sell side right here. We have the previous day low right there as well. Okay, so this low was from the... We just have to keep this low in mind. So this is the low from the morning session, New York. So that's obviously a high liquidity session. So this is going to be this will kind of act as a magnet in some point in time. So there will be a likelihood that at some point the algorithm will just kind of knock out all of this liquidity and then reverse back to the upside. So that's just something to keep in mind, is that low right there. And this low is at 15,107. Right, so let's copy this line. Okay, so that's our buy side. Put that on top. And then, like we mentioned, we have this fair value gap right here. Okay, so it came in and then it kind of got rejected right here. So this area might be rebalanced. So we could kind of assume that when price action moves back to the upside to go and knock out these relative equal highs that we have right here, and potentially this high right there, that price will kind of move through this area, go above, and then this will kind of act as support, and then price action should go and take out the liquidity above these highs. And that high right there at that is 15,442. Okay, so we have some liquidity levels marked off on the 1 hour chart. I'm just gonna add one right here so it does not go unnoticed. Okay, so right now if we just look at this chart right here, we have a bunch of liquidity to the upside, a fair value gap right here, which is also kind of like a magnet. It looks like we rebalanced the imbalance that we have right here, came to the OTE area and then got a strong reaction. So it does seem right now that the draw on liquidity is to the upside. So it looks like the larger scalps will be the longs. So we will still be able to short on the lower term time frames. But I think that this chart does suggest that the longs is gonna provide the most amount of points. Right, so this is the liquidity levels on the 1 hour. Go to the 15 minute. Okay, so on the 15 minute, basically came back into a bearish market structure. And then this high right here, this was just kind of a intermediate high, just to rebalance this area right here. So we don't really assume that to be a higher high. That's just an intermediate high to rebalance this inefficiency that we had right here. And then we moved back to the downside. And there's another imbalance right here. You kind of also see that the oscillators are starting to roll over. But like we said, it looks like on the 1 hour the draw on liquidity is to the upside. So what could happen is we also have some relative equal lows right here, and we know that we have sell side liquidity right here. So let's also just quickly have a look at the 5 minute. So what I am going to be targeting, my main setup for the afternoon session is going to be, so when I go to the afternoon session, I'm going to be mainly on the 5 minute chart, but I use the 1 hour and the 15 minute to mark off the major liquidity levels. And then basically my main trading model is wait for price action to take out one of these liquidity pools. So price action is, just switch off this magnet. So let's say price action moves to the downside like this, into the liquidity area below this low, and we get a strong reaction, that's called displacement, above the previous lower high. So basically a break in this bearish market structure into a bullish market structure with displacement. That is key, the displacement above the old high. So that's kind of your change of character. And then the next item in the checklist is, did it print a fair value gap? So that's the indication of the bullish order flow. And then what I do is I take my fib tool, and then if the fair value gap is in the discount area below the equilibrium, the 0.5 on your Fibonacci tool, then I'll just enter on the fair value gap with my stop loss right there, and then I will ride the trade out to the next two liquidity pools. That will be there and over there, and then I will keep a runner to go and take out this liquidity right there. So right now this seems like this is going to be the main play that I'm going to be looking at for the afternoon session, which starts again in 25 minutes from now. And let's also get a fib from this side to the low. Remove this. See, so I came right to the 618 for this impulse move to the downside, and then the negative 0.27 dig will dig into the liquidity right here. So once we dig in, then I want to see that strong reaction out, displacement above the previous lower high, and then enter on that fair value gap. Because I think that's what I'm going to be looking for the afternoon session. Let's quickly have a look at ES as well. Nice, we have Crypto Weatherman, CNC Ireland, Smurfington in the chat. I hope you guys are doing good. Alright, so ES. So yesterday, one thing that I mentioned was the reason I was kind of bullish was that we had this bullish S&P divergence between the NAS and ES. So if you look at the daily, we have a low and a higher low, and on the Nasdaq over here we had a low and a lower low. So that was just something interesting. So that is called the S&P divergence. Alright, so let's have a look at the ES daily chart. So same as on the Nasdaq, the oscillators are oversold with the Williams printing that green signal. And then the last time we had this condition on the daily was right over here on the 13th of March. And that's basically when we had this nice little bull run all the way to $4,633. Okay, so ES, the interesting thing is that this did not come all the way to the low to take out the liquidity. It only came down to rebalance the fair value gaps that we have right here. And then we also had one right here. We can see this came basically right to the midpoint of that fair value gap, and it looks like this fair value gap will kind of hold price action in this range, it seems. And then the same as on the Nasdaq, we have this volume imbalance right here. This imbalance starts at $4,480 more or less, and then we also have these highs right here. So this is where we are assuming the larger liquidity pools will reside. So these highs on the daily chart, let's get an accurate pull on this. Okay, so this high on the daily chart is at $4,544, and then the next one is at $4,562. And you can see that there's a bit of a discrepancy between the Nasdaq and ES. So now ES came and took out the previous day low. Okay, so it took out the previous day low and it took out the high as well. Have a look on the lower term time frames. Okay, so this might be because on the Nasdaq it took out the major liquidity pools on the daily, whereas ES did not do that. So maybe this little move, let's quickly see if it took out this low as well. Just kind of tapped into it. Just kind of tapped into it. So the sell side liquidity has been taken. Okay, and then we have this imbalance right here, which could potentially act as a magnet for price action. Let's go to the 1 hour and see if we can get a better read on this. Yeah, so this is gonna be our buy side liquidity. So the reason I mark off these levels, like I said, I basically wait for price action to dig into the liquidity and then wait for the displacement to the upside and then get in on those fair value gaps in the discount or premium range, depending if I'm bearish or bullish. Okay, so we want to be looking at that level. Fair value gap right here. And then we're also gonna mark off this high, which is at 4,517. So this one came right into this imbalance. Never really closed above it and then got the move to the downside. And now we have another one right here. So like I said, this could act as a magnet and suck price action right into it. I'm seeing that we already took out the sell side liquidity below these lows. It looks like price action will now be drawn towards the liquidity above these highs, as well as this imbalance right here. Get a fib on this. Just came into the discount range, just about did not tap into that 618 level. Okay, let's quickly go to the 5 minute. So to me it seems like seeing that we took out the sell side liquidity and we have that imbalance with those liquidity pools, that the drawn liquidity is to the upside as well. So for the afternoon session, go back to the 15 minute. Gonna quickly remove these lines. Okay, so this one just tapped into the liquidity there as well. So I'm going to be looking for the afternoon session to see here we have some relative equal lows printing as well. Use a trend line for this. So one possible play is to wait for price action just to take out these lows. Take out these lows and then watch for that reaction to see if we get that displacement above the previous high. Print that fair value gap, pull a fib on that, and if that's in the discount area, then you can open a long position. And then like we mentioned, I think that's gonna be a pretty awesome target right here at 4,491. And then also at 4,517. have a look at these imbalances as well. Okay, so I think if I get in, I'm gonna be looking at that high for a potential TP. Yeah, I think I'm not gonna, if this plays out, then now we're getting that move towards these lows right here. I will realistically not play it all the way to the external liquidity all the way up here. I'll take profit right here, and then keep a runner with my stop loss at my entry, and then to see if we what happens when we get into this fair value gap and towards this area right here. All right, let's quickly see what happens here. So we are taking out these lows. Let's see if it's going to displace below this lows to the downside, or is it going to displace above this high, and then we can potentially open that long position and play it toward those highs right there. Okay, so if this is just a liquidity grab, then we don't want to see, like I said, the displacement to the downside. We just want to see it tap in below these lows and then displace above that high right there. So then at that point, that will be a bullish market structure shift. Alright, if you guys have any questions or something you want me to look at, you can drop it in the chat. Quickly see what's happening on the 5 minute for the Nasdaq. So yeah, the same thing, we have these relative equal lows. Did it tap into it? Not yet. That's why I like looking at, I mostly only trade the Nasdaq, but I like to look at ES as well. But sometimes you will see the liquidity grab on one of them, and then both of them will change market structure and move to the upside. So you would have missed that liquidity grab if that is part of your trading model. So that's why it's ideal to look at both assets, the Nasdaq and ES, they kind of move together. Okay, so we're digging into the equal lows. Okay, so CNC asks, what do you see the VIX doing? I have to be honest, I almost never really look at the VIX, to be honest, so I won't be able to help you with the VIX. Well, what are you seeing in the VIX, CNC, if you don't mind me asking? I've never really taken the time to learn how the VIX correlates with these markets, so I don't really know. Alright, while we wait to see what's gonna happen, if we're gonna confirm this liquidity grab, or are we gonna displace below these lows and then switch our bias from bullish to bearish and look for potential short positions. So as you can see on the 5 minute, there's no signs of displacement yet. So what I mean by saying that is there's no fair value gaps or any indications of strong bearish order flow below these lows. Alright, so if you want to learn how to trade, you can send me an email. My contact details is in the description of the live stream. So I do one-on-one sessions, and then the concepts that I teach is basically the SMC concepts, which includes but is not limited to market structure, fair value gaps, order blocks, optimal trade entry, liquidity concepts, time and price theory, daily bias, and the scalping strategy that I use on a daily basis. And then I also have a couple of momentum master swing trading strategies and scalping strategies, and then how to use cumulative volume delta and open interest. This is more for crypto, for Bitcoin and Ethereum, risk management and FIBs. And then also jump into our Discord server. The link is in the description. I also pinned it to the chat. And then we have a 20% discount on the indicator if you use my link and coupon code. The details is also in the description. Yeah, so just kind of hanging around. Yeah, it is. We are still in the lunchtime period for the New York session. So this will start to kick up probably in after the next 10 minutes or so. We'll look at the Nasdaq. Okay, so on the Nasdaq we took out the relative equal lows as well. Then move that away. So equal lows, and now we want to see that displacement above this high to give us the market structure shift, and then we can enter on the retrace into a fair value gap. Alrighty guys, I think that is it for my analysis for today. This is the setup that I'm looking at for the afternoon session, but I will keep you guys posted in the Discord. If you are not in Discord, definitely grab that link in the description, and then I'll keep you guys updated in there. And then with that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in today. I'll be back tomorrow at around the same time, kind of during the New York lunchtime. And then I hope everyone has a great day.